My name is Chad West. I'm the CMO at Revolut, and I've been at the company for about 2 years now, which was very early days. And I'm here to talk about how digital banks, or challenger banks, however you want to define it, are evolving customer expectations from what you previously have known from finance. That's the official name of this talk. I like to change it up and just say, Dear Banks, ha, 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 ha. But ultimately, this is an important factor because challenger banks and fintechs, whether it's your Revoluts, Monzos, Starlings, they are doing amazing things for the customer experience. And it is challenging, it is hard work, but it's the right way to do. For so long, companies have typically been disrupted. You've seen transportation disrupted by Uber, you've seen Airbnb disrupt accommodation, and we haven't seen that in banking and in finance. It's never been open, it's never been transparent, it's never given you control over your money and over your finance. And they've done that purposely, because the less you know, the better it is for them. The more fees they can add, the more markups they can do, and the more control they have over you as a customer, as opposed to vice versa. The first one is about control, and how fintech brands such as Revolut are giving you that kind of control. Typically, people have not had enough control over their money. They didn't know what was coming in, what was going out, where they were spending it on, and ultimately a bit of an in-depth look into the patterns and behaviors that they were doing. And no one's done this better than fintechs. The first thing we did, that other brands have done as well, was the idea of giving you, and even just something as simple as an instant spending notification, for two reasons. A, so that you, again, have an idea of what your money's been spent on, but B, it was a security issue as well, letting you know, giving you confirmation that payment had been approved and authorized, something quite small. The second part that we did was giving you categorization so that you could see every single month what you were spending on things like restaurants, groceries, transport. And most people didn't have awareness of that, particularly if you live in London, where people generally work longer hours, they eat a lot of takeout, they eat out generally at restaurants. That kind of information was really important. And fintechs have really powered this through in giving consumers control over their money. And another great example that we did with this was around security, something that's very fundamental to your account, something that you should have control of, not us. So what we wanted to do was, in the ability that you lost your card, ultimately you'd be able to go onto the app, temporarily freeze it, so that you're in control, and if you find that card again, say an hour later, behind the back of the sofa, you just go on the app and unfreeze it again. Then it was taking that a step further and saying, actually, how can we give you more control over the security that you want on your account? And that was giving customers the ability to enable or disable things like contactless, ATM withdrawals, online payments, swipe payments, and then going a step further and giving you location-based security, so that if your phone signal shows that you're in London and someone is apparently using your card in Spain, we would automatically freeze that transaction, bump you to let you know, and you could approve and say, yep, that's fine, that is me, or no, absolutely not, let's cancel that. So that whole idea of giving you control has definitely changed the customer expectation and the experience, and now you can see with all these topics that I'll talk about, banks are now playing catch up to do this as well. But bear in mind that these companies, your Revoluts, Monzos, Starlings, they're being proactive in these approaches. And traditional banks who are now saying, yeah, but we're going to do this, they're reactive. They're doing it because they have to, not necessarily because they want to. The second point is sort of visibility, which is a key word. And again, this just ties into the second point. So security aside is just you being in control of your money. It's something incredibly important. Salaries haven't been increasing like they have in previous years. We all live in cities like London, where rent is disgustingly extortionate and day-to-day finance and money is extortionate too. So now more than ever, particularly for younger people who are maybe at university or in their first career and they're on the mid to potentially low 20s, they more than ever need to have control over their money. So these kind of features were key to doing that. The third sort of part was the idea of convenience. And what this means is that what could we do to actually make life easier? So yes, you can give all this exposure and visibility to customer spending and habits, but how can you actually aid them in achieving their goals, whatever they may be? And one of the top things that we were alerted to was people really wanted to save. And they didn't want to do it in the traditional fashion, which was opening a separate account and setting up a standing order, a direct debit. They wanted a really seamless, simple way to do that. So we listened and we thought, how can we make this convenient and easy? So that's where we launched something called Vaults, which basically means with every card payment you make, we can round up that to the nearest pound and stash your spare change instantly in your separate savings wallet. So you basically spend and save seamlessly at the same time. So if you just go onto your Vault and you say, I'm saving up for a new laptop, new headphones, a vacation, and you'll be able to see and track your performance. And then customers were like, well, do you know what, that's great, but it is small amounts. How can I actually add more to it. So then we said, okay, well, why don't you also set up direct debits or standing orders to your vault in addition to rounding up your spare change? Or why aren't you able to just go in and make a one-off lump sum directly into it? And that's something we did. So it's a really cool feature. It's probably one of the most popular among our day-to-day users, but it's not rocket science, right? It's just something that was so seamless, but it gave, again, convenience to the consumer, something that typically, again, you don't see from traditional incumbents. And then the fourth part would be sort of innovation. So it's not good enough just for banks or fintech companies to be responsive or to do something someone else is doing that's a little bit different. What I believe that banks and the finance world should do is it should be seen as innovators. Like other tech companies, when you look at your Amazons and Teslas, they're innovating, right? They're constantly developing new ideas. They're bringing stuff to customers that they necessarily didn't know they need, but we think they do. Because it's all very well, I'm sure for anyone who works in fintech, we all know areas that are obvious that we need to launch, that we need to offer, and we can make it a bit cooler with a nicer interface, and that's all great. But we actually need to take them into a whole new journey, similarly to how brands like Apple do with their innovation. So we figure to ourselves, one thing Revolut's never wanted to be is a bank, sort of a small UK, maybe Ireland-based bank that's sort of SME size. We always said that we wanted to take an Amazon approach, where Revolut would be this one account where you would manage every aspect of your financial life, that we would provide the best possible value and service in all areas as possible. Now, we've done this with cryptocurrencies. That was one area that people said, actually, I want exposure to this. My bank would never sniff near cryptocurrencies. They won't even support my transactions to a third-party crypto site. So we said to ourselves, well, actually, we'll innovate here. We'll launch the ability for all of our customers to buy, hold, and sell 5 cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Litecoin, in seconds at the best possible rate we can offer at that time through our partner. And we've done this, and now suddenly a whole generation of people who looked at traditional exchanges and the idea of private keys and everything else in between was just mind-blowing for them. They were seeing crypto on the news every single day, but they didn't have easy access to it. So that's why we developed this feature, the ability to do it in seconds at the tap of a button. The next thing we're doing that sort of blends into that sort of Amazon experience is the idea of commission-free trading. So allowing our customers to invest in stocks, bonds, ETFs, UK, European, and US, at the best possible rates, well, with no commissions, ultimately. Similarly to what Robinhood have been doing in the US. And this is, again, an idea of innovation, because we want, you may disagree, but ultimately from our research, we find that customers do not want to have 6 apps on their phone for managing different aspects of their financial life. We believe they would much rather have it in one central app where they have a great deal of trust for it, they know they'll get the best possible customer experience, and then fundamentally the best possible value. And that is our vision, is scale globally, offer all of these services at the best possible rates. Now, one of the things I sort of consistently get told is that a lot of companies are focusing on this idea of a marketplace. They may be talking about it in a sense of a monetization, where they think they can just partner with tons of companies and make loads of money. I disagree with that. I think the commissions from the profit shares are so small, and that ultimately you have to have mass adoption to take that seriously as a revenue stream. I think, secondly, customers are getting more lazy, and rightfully so. You should be able to depend on your services and companies to take your criteria and offer you the single best rate, whatever that may be, right at you. Right? I don't like this idea of having to go on my app and look at sort of a Go Compare style website and flick through 10 energy providers, right? I want to have the best possible provider at the best possible rate given right to me. And that's what we've done. We launched phone insurance and travel insurance, right? They're not the most sexiest things, but people need them. So with us, we partnered with a company that would make sure that your phone would be replaced within a week. You would pay as little as £1 a week, worldwide coverage covering all accidental. Really simple, really seamless. We didn't want to berate them with 5 or 6 options. We wanted to say this is the best we can absolutely do, and compared to the market, we're convinced it's the absolutely best on there. And we did the same with travel insurance. We found that people didn't want to do big, lengthy documents. They didn't want to sign up to 12-month contracts. So we just said, pay-as-you-go travel insurance. Tap it on, tap it off, £1 a day, you're covered up to £15 million worldwide for health and dental. And we've now just included baggage and other things in there as well. But that's another example of the customer experience where our customers now, and again, it's really challenging because when you don't always deliver or you can't do something they want to do, they're not happy about it. But this whole idea of giving them the best possible value, taking their criteria, and putting it out to scale. That's our approach. We don't want to, as I said, create this endless stream of options, because that is not giving the customer a good experience, and arguably it's not listening to them, at least from our perspective. The next one is sort of education and transparency. As I said at the beginning, banks love the fact you don't understand what they do, because, again, it's that element of control that they have over you. The fact that they can slide in fees and markups and all kind of things is incredible. Now, Revolut's been working really hard at this. Monzo are very great at it. And it's about being transparent, open, and educating your customers. So one thing that I think everyone sort of followed each other now in doing this in the fintech space, but is being open and transparent as your delivery as a business. So when you hit certain milestones, when you have solid data in relation to your company accounts, in relation to your expansion plan, your product roadmap, it's about showing that you're on this journey with your customers, that you're not this separate company. We've all come to love these businesses that are becoming more social and that we can relate to. We have similar brands, we have similar thoughts on society and views. And that's what banks should be too. They shouldn't be a million miles away from their customers. They should be right there holding their hand. And we do this in other ways as well. We actually wanted to teach people about finance because there's so many simple things that you use in your day-to-day life that you take for granted and you probably don't understand how it works. Take something as simple as a credit score or an overdraft. Everyone probably uses it and knows it's important, but do they actually understand how it works and what goes on behind the scenes? And that's what we strive to do in our content strategy through a combination of video and written, is actually teaching our customers finance. And it's an incredibly important thing. We found that so many of our customers, why not, because it's free, are transferring money worldwide with Revolut with interbank rates, but they don't have a clue how that money gets from the UK to the US, or why it takes 3 days to get there and it only takes 1 day to get to, France, for example. And all these things are very simple to answer, and that's what we wanted to do, so that when we're innovating, when we're driving product forward, ultimately we're always making sure the customer's right by us, they understand what we're doing, what we're launching, and I think that's an incredible thing. So, short and sweet, that is ultimately the sort of 6 key topics that we're focusing on customer experience and how we can drive that forwards. And I believe there's a couple of questions now.
Thank you very much, Chad. So Revolut's obviously grown very fast and you're involved in lots of different areas now, stocks, cryptocurrency, insurance. So what's next? I mean, what's the next big step for Revolut? How do you continue to grow?
Yeah, so it's crazy. When I joined Revolut, we were averaging about 700 a day. We're now between 7,000 and 8,000 per day, and we're 3 million users in total. And I think what's next is one thing we don't want to do is bloat the app. We've tried to focus on areas that actually matter to people. Obviously, a lot of people use Revolut every day, but a lot of people also use them for travel and things. So it's important that we also offer services like travel insurance because that's key to our audience. I think for us, trading's the next big thing. And then I think from a product perspective, in terms of big things, we're going to slow down a little bit because we're expanding. So in the early new year, we're launching in North America, Australasia, Asia. That's a hell of a lot of work. And we don't want to make that mistake of spreading ourselves too thin. And you can move fast and break things for so long, and then you kind of need to move fast and make sure things are stable. So I think for us, trading will launch very soon. We'll be expanding in January into all these new international markets. And then I think we just need to do a bit of an audit, sort of sit down, look at everything we're doing, make improvements, make sure everything's as stable and great as it can be. And then we can focus on further innovation from there.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Chad.
Thank you.